areas full of powerful trainers and gym leaders, catch high-level Pokémon, and make the adventure very difficult and rewarding for yourself accordingly. I had multiple wonderfully tense moments against Team Star especially, like when their giant car Pokémon nearly decimated my slightly underleveled team. But the land of Paldea is arranged to be mostly friendly to those looking for a more gradual challenge too, and even more so is designed just right for getting pleasantly lost or wandering off the beaten route. But even when I briefly ran roughshod over several areas in a row because I'd outleveled them, I didn't find it discouraging or dull. With roughly 400 different Pokémon species available, I was still enjoying poking around the lower level areas and finding monsters I hadn't seen yet. And those discoveries were rewarding even when the battles weren't. It's a process made especially delightful by how silly and clever many of the new Pokémon designs are this generation, and how improved the monster behavior is. That said, Paldea's world still felt a touch empty without meaningful dungeons, puzzles, or other self-contained challenges like we see in other open-world games. That emptiness is even more pronounced when you look at the detail that is there. Towns are all unique, colorful, and full of personality, and there's clearly been a lot of thought put into modeling them after diverse and specific locations in and around real-world Spain. But for the most part, that's where the thoughtfulness ends. Most buildings are facades you can't enter, with no story or gameplay purpose. Most stores are just menus you open when you interact with the door. And the biggest cities have the same storefronts repeated over and over. And that blankness unfortunately extends to many of the NPCs and their dialogue too. That said, Scarlet and Violet's 3 main plots and their cast of characters are some of the most interesting and well-written Pokemon's had in a while. There's a lot of humor, cleverness, and heart, and it all culminates in a bombastic ending that goes surprisingly hard for a Pokemon game, followed by a decent amount of hearty endgame PvE content. All told, it took me about 35 hours to reach the credits, and I've played for an additional 20 since then without having quite finished every side quest or found every secret. Not every aspect is an improvement over older games though. While the initial character customization gives you much more detailed facial design options than in the past, there are still only 4 skin tones, and the clothing selection is just sad. You're stuck with 4 ugly school uniforms to pick from, and that's all you get, forever. Sure, you can buy new accessories, but when the main outfit you're going to wear for the next 50 hours is aggressively purple or orange, those little add-ons don't feel much like real options. On the bright side, I do like what's been done with the ability for Pokemon to follow you out in the world. This time, you can send them out to automatically battle wild Pokemon they encounter, earning you EXP and items accordingly. It's a touch clunky. They don't run as fast as you, and they don't always target the thing you're asking them to. But it works well enough, and is a pleasant and fast way to gather items used to craft TMs. While the battle system remains largely unchanged from past Pokemon games, there's one major new addition, terastallizing. That temporarily gives one Pokemon in your party a superpowered monotype and a cool hat. But what's most interesting about it is that any Pokemon can have any Terra typing, making for some really fun and unusual combinations. The best and most interesting combos are gained through Terra raid battles, which are Scarlet and Violet's endgame echo of Sword and Shield's already excellent Dynamax raids. I'm extremely optimistic about their potential to keep the Scarlet and Violet community alive for the next year or more, if the technical problems don't kill it first. So let's talk about the Dawn fan in the room here. These games run like garbage. The frame rate is an inconsistent mess. Lighting effects toggle on and off seemingly at random. Models pop in and out at short distances. Characters who aren't that far away walk like a bad stop-motion animated cartoon. Everything slows to a crawl when there's more than one environmental effect on screen at a time. And battles themselves can take an agonizingly long time as new Pokemon are swapped in. There are also tons of bizarre model clipping issues, and the camera sometimes gets stuck at an odd angle and shows an empty void on half the screen. And that's on top of all these bizarre bugs. Most are small, funny, or harmless issues, but we also had not one, but 2 of our guides riders suffering hard crashes when they walk near a ladder. This is all bad enough, but it's all exacerbated by the fact that Scarlet and Violet would be far from pretty games even if they ran well. While the aesthetic and architectural aspects of many of the towns in Paldea are interesting, they're compromised by incredibly low-res textures, long stretches of flat, boring land, and this weird, vague, shimmery effect around most objects. This is made especially odd by the fact that some of the characters and most of the Pokémon models do actually look very good, making for weird contrasts at times. When you go into online cooperative play, there's an entirely new layer of weirdness, including invisible bikes, invisible people, emotes getting stuck on faces, and whatever my friend is doing in the doorway here. There were multiple communication errors that forced us to disband and reform the group just to keep playing, which is itself a time-consuming process. And then there's the Noodle Man incident. All of this is a massive shame, because like the rest of Scarlet and Violet, the actual gameplay ideas in its co-op system are promising, if unrefined. Between the bugs, my friends and I were able to do almost everything you can do alone side by side, if not explicitly cooperatively. Story events, wild Pokemon battles, and even giant absurd sandwich making. Trainer battles against NPCs were an honor-looking situation, as you can see here, but the bones of an excellent co-op system are mostly there. They just feel like they're held together with bits of string. The aforementioned Terra raids are the best part of cooperative play by far. The 4-person battles mostly ran smoothly with my friends and provided a fun treasure hunt of their own. Online Terra raids with strangers, though? That's a different story. Even with an Ethernet connection, this was a painful process with repeated communication errors, awkward and time-consuming matchmaking, and a hefty dose of lag every match. I've been tearing my hair out for weeks over how conflicted I feel about Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. Discovering and catching all these charming monsters across an enormous open world with an actually good story is really fun. It just comes with far too many asterisks. I truly believe that the bold new ideas here are fantastic if unrefined, but it is completely impossible to play Scarlet and Violet and not notice at least some performance issues, and not just frame rate problems. These games actively crash, disconnect, and break in highly distracting ways basically all of the time. And the new online co-op makes all these problems significantly worse. As a Pokemon fan, I desperately want better for this series. But if you're devoted to these games, as so many are, know before you go in that the proper care we've all come to expect has not been shown here. For more, check out our in-depth performance review that highlights Scarlet and Violet's problems, and if you do decide to dive in, watch our list of 7 things to do first. And for everything else, stick with IGN. It's been almost a year since I reviewed Pokémon Scarlet and Violet at launch, and I still feel more conflicted about them than any other Pokémon game in all my years loving the series. They dazzled me with their open-world design, which felt like the answer to years of fan requests, but the performance and aesthetic hits that came with that innovation were painful catches that didn't quite feel worth the trade. Would the first DLC, the Teal Mask, fix Scarlet and Violet's glaring issues and deliver a robust new experience that fully embraced the potential of what these games could have been? Nope. I don't know how it's possible, but somehow the Teal Mask runs worse than the base game of Pokémon Scarlet and Violet does. I complained about the poor performance of Scarlet and Violet in my initial review, and I had hoped that a whole year later, Game Freak would have made improvements to things like frame rate, pop-in, weird lighting issues, model clipping, and everything else. Problems Nintendo even stated it was working to address back in December, but it hasn't. Instead, it feels like the DLC has the jankiness turned up about 1 or 2 more notches. It's still playable, I didn't run into any game-breaking bugs, but during my playthrough of the Teal Mask, it was impossible to go for more than a minute or 2 without a visual distraction. Look, I don't expect high-fidelity graphics at the level of the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X in my Pokémon games, but the sheer amount of issues is so distracting all the time that it became an active detriment to my enjoyment. And not to keep harping on performance, but my problems with endgame raid battles from the original review still haven't been fixed, which tangibly impacts gameplay. queuing into online raids is still inconsistent due to the very weird way in which Scarlet and Violet refreshes its available raids and doesn't notify you when they're full. And once you do get in, completing high-level raids can be challenging due to lag and a weird timer system, sometimes skipping your turn, freezing your screen, or otherwise making it impossible to tell what's going on at any given moment. While some major raiding bugs have been fixed in the last year, it was impossible for me to spend time on the primary in-game content of Pokémon Scarlet and Violet or its DLC without running into this stuff and being frustrated by it. My feelings about the new Kitakami Island region itself aren't much fonder. Like Paldea, the world of Scarlet and Violet's DLC is butt ugly, with low-res textures and little detail in its environments. All it has is a single town, mostly made up of buildings you can't enter, and NPCs uttering boring, nothing phrases. That big local festival that the trailers hyped up, it's just a few carts with vendors and some uninteresting NPCs. It's even more of a disappointment when you consider that Kitakami is based on Japan, a nation that Game Freak has based multiple memorable regions off of before, Kanto and Johto, for instance. When I've already seen a Japanese-inspired world done in such loving detail in multiple Pokémon games, Kitakami feels like a massive letdown. That said, the Teal Mask isn't all bad. The battling and competitive aspects are still what they've always been, good, and it's still fun to fill up a PC box full of neat little dudes you find running around outside. The island checks all the boxes for that activity specifically. It's big, full of Pokémon, and has lots of different biomes to poke around in. One of my favorite parts of Kitakami was the mountain at its center, with these crystalline pools at the summit, numerous caves along the path to the top, and a surprising cavern structure within, full of Pokémon hiding around corners and in little holes. But the overall ugliness and performance issues did detract from locations that looked like they were probably quite beautiful in their concept art, just not their final execution. Content-wise, the Teal Mask largely consists of a familiar Pokémon formula where you track down a legendary Pokémon while learning about local lore. You're accompanied on this quest by a sibling pair, Carmine and Kieran, both of whom spent most of the story alternating between yelling at me over nothing and challenging me to battles. The Teal Mask's plot is so overdone that even a slowpoke could see its twists coming, which is a pretty big bummer after the heights reached during the ending of Scarlet and Violet. This DLC campaign is also short, about 7 or 8 hours long, though catching every newly added monster will stretch it a bit more. The best part of Teal Mask's story is the subplot surrounding a photographer, Perrin, who sends you on a Pokemon Snap-esque photography journey after a totally different legendary Pokemon. After hours of Carmine and Kieran shouting at me, Perrin's curiosity and backstory with photography were a refreshing change, and her photo-taking minigame provided a natural avenue for the Teal Mask to expand on something I loved in Scarlet and Violet, discovering Pokemon doing fun Pokemon things in their habitats. Frankly, Perrin's story is so much more interesting than the rest of the DLC that it's a shame I couldn't spend more time hanging out with her and her Growlithe instead of being dragged around by the world's most unnecessarily angsty preteens. Other new features in the Teal Mask include an expanded Pokédex with a tiny handful of brand new monsters, a middling selection of new cosmetic choices, and a terrible minigame called Ogre Oustin that involves tanking your frame rate further by speeding around on your bike to collect berries really fast. While I'm always happy to praise Game Freak's Pokémon designs, and it's nice to finally change out of my hideous school uniform, I don't know what they were thinking with Ogre Oustin. It's boring, repetitive, runs terribly, especially online, and yet made me feel bad about not wanting to play it by offering great rewards for anyone looking to build raiding or competitive teams. Terrible. The ways in which the Teal Mask feels like a step backward from what made Scarlet and Violet astonishing are also disappointing. Scarlet and Violet themselves promoted player freedom. You could go anywhere you wanted at almost any time and do the major plot points in any order. The Teal Mask mysteriously tosses that in the bin in favor of a far more standard linear journey. While you can explore any part of the island at any time, there's no benefit to doing so beyond catching Pokemon. You can't even do the initial quest, which involves visiting 3 signboards around the island, in any order. The sudden loss of that player freedom is painful given how critical it was to my enjoyment of the base game. It's also a surprisingly weak effort when compared to Game Freak's previous DLC attempts in Pokémon Sword and Shield's Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra. While both of these DLC were similarly criticized for being shallow in the story department, Isle of Armor added challenge by forcing you to train a brand new Pokémon, and Crown Tundra included multiple new game modes. The Teal Mask does none of that and feels distinctly incomplete. Maybe that's because
because it was always meant to be just one half of a package with the Indigo Disk, but if that's the case, then I question the wisdom of splitting the DLC at all. I just don't know what to say anymore. I love Pokémon. I love catching monsters and exploring and filling a Pokédex and harnessing the power of love, friendship, and adventure and all that. But the Teal Mask is yet another step in a slow quality downslide for this series. It runs terribly, looks ugly, feels predictable, doesn't offer any of the freedom Scarlet and Violet's main story did, and falls short in so many ways compared to just about every other Pokémon game and DLC I've played. If you're considering the Teal Mask because you thought Scarlet and Violet were fun and just want more Pokémon, sure, this DLC will give you that. But as someone who was hoping the Teal Mask and a year of polish would turn things around for the 9th generation of Pokémon, I am sorely disappointed. For more, check out our launch review of Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
The 9th generation of Pokémon has been a roller coaster ride, to say the least. With the introduction of a fully open world and non-linear objectives, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet finally made the freedom of the monster-filled adventures I dreamed of as a child a playable reality. But that reality was a technical disaster, turning what should have been a standing ovation for the series into a smattering of lukewarm golf claps. Multiple post-launch updates and its first DLC did nothing to fix this, and the Teal Mask expansion specifically was all around a disappointment of its own. So here we are, the Indigo Disk, the last DLC and presumably the final word on Pokemon's ambitious and chaotic 9th generation. Is it an improvement? Yes, but not entirely. While the new area, battles, quests, and challenges are an excellent coda, they're all still bogged down by the numerous problems that have become synonymous with Pokemon's first true foray into the open world. The Indigo Disk takes place at Blueberry Academy, a human-made island off the coast of Pokémon Black and White's Unova region, where your character becomes an exchange student. It continues the story of siblings Kieran and Carmine that started in the Teal Mask DLC earlier this year, with the Teal Mask and the Indigo Disk serving as two halves of a whole story, the hidden treasure of Area Zero. I won't spoil more, but I came away with mixed feelings on the Indigo Disk's campaign, especially in light of how excellent Scarlet and Violet's base story was. Returning anti-hero Kieran's plot especially felt awkward and contrived, and the whole story being split between the two DLC halves in two disparate locations with almost entirely separate casts of supporting characters didn't help. It was strange too that the titular hidden treasure of Area Zero was tacked on to the end of Indigo Disk's campaign, like someone realized last minute what the title was and scrambled to make it work. But despite being wrapped in a flimsy story, the Indigo Disk is a pretty darn fun DLC. Its campaign is at its best when it once again turns you loose upon the open world, letting you defeat a series of interesting and diverse opponents in any order you please. This is the freedom that I loved in Scarlet and Violet, and which was mysteriously missing in the Teal Mask. What's more, the Indigo Disk is challenging in a good way. Most of the battles in the DLC are double battles, and your opponent's teams are strategically composed, often packing competitive trappings like held items, complementary movesets, and interesting Terra types. There's even one required set of battles that forces you to train up a new team of Pokémon specifically caught in the DLC. Seasoned Pokémon players likely still won't have a problem in the Indigo Disk, but if you're trying to roll through with a haphazard collection of fellas that got you through the main story, you might need to rethink your plans. Most of my time in the Indigo Disk was spent in the Terrarium, a massive, self-contained safari zone of sorts, divided into 4 different biomes, all stuffed with new to Scarlet and Violet Pokémon. After being fairly lukewarm on Scarlet and Violet's world design, I actually thought the Terrarium was a marked improvement. It has more diverse landmarks condensed into a smaller space, which makes it a lot more interesting to explore. Instead of finding the same Pokémon all over each zone, many of them are localized to very specific areas, like this deep cave full of lightning-charged stones and electric spiders. I loved stumbling across all these little pockets of Pokémon, and I'm still finding surprising new corners of the Terrarium as I work to complete my Blueberry Pokédex. It does help to be rewarded for that exploration, and most of those rewards appear after you finish the Indigo Disk story via a new feature called Blueberry Quests, or BBQs. These are short, simple tasks that you can complete in the terrarium, such as catch a Pokémon or photograph a Pokémon in the polar biome. In return, you'll get blueberry points, or BP, which can then be spent on all kinds of prizes. Some of these are cosmetic, such as the ability to change up how your character throws a Pokéball or to decorate a club room in Blueberry Academy. But the most interesting and expensive options unlock even more new Pokémon for the terrarium, or let you invite powerful trainers such as Scarlet and Violet's gym leaders to Blueberry Academy for rematches and, delightfully, new story conversations. There are tons of interesting things to spend BP on, including a bonus final boss battle, enough to keep me busy for quite a while to come, even after more than 15 hours in this DLC. Part of that is because gathering BP by yourself is pretty slow, but the Indigo Disk eases that pain by finally giving a purpose to Scarlet and Violet's co-op feature. You've always been able to adventure through Paldea with up to 4 players simultaneously, but there wasn't really any advantage to doing so, outside of cooperative sandwich making. But in the terrarium, all players can contribute to and receive BP from one another's BBQs, and even unlock special group quests for bigger payouts. I had a great time running around the terrarium with a friend, strategizing over voice chat about how we divvy up some of the harder BBQs, like completing a raid or making a specific sandwich. I never thought I'd be able to heartily recommend Scarlet and Violet's co-op after my original review, but here we are. I loved almost everything about the Indigo Disk, as a DLC at least. Its biggest problem stems directly from the fact that it is still an add-on for a game that was fundamentally pretty messy to begin with, and that messiness hasn't gone away. Yep, I'm talking about technical issues again. In fact, how about we let a section from my original review of Scarlet and Violet in November of last year sum up the experience of playing the Indigo Disk. The frame rate is an inconsistent mess. Lighting effects toggle on and off, seemingly at random. Models pop in and out at short distances. Characters who aren't that far away walk like a bad stop-motion animated cartoon. Everything slows to a crawl when there's more than one environmental effect on screen at a time. And if that's not enough, here's a section from my review of the Teal Mask DLC earlier this year about the problems with raiding. Queuing into online raids is still inconsistent due to the very weird way in which Scarlet and Violet refreshes its available raids and doesn't notify you when they're full. And once you do get in, completing high-level raids can be challenging due to lag and a weird timer system, sometimes skipping your turn, freezing your screen, or otherwise making it impossible to tell what's going on at any given moment. Somehow, literally all of that is still true in the Indigo Disk. There's a big chunk of the savanna biome in the terrarium with mud puddles that inexplicably causes heinous stuttering whenever you get too close. Multiple times, my game froze for several whole seconds and made me think it was about to crash. The newly added ability to fly around freely anywhere you want does an exemplary job of showing off how haphazardly taped together everything is as entire landmarks flash wildly in and out of existence. And as before, co-op mode or online play makes everything run about 10% worse. I have tried time and time again to ignore all of these issues while playing and just enjoy Pokemon, but every single time, some stupid, obvious bug yanks me out of it, like my Tinkaton completely wrecking in-battle camera angles, or the brightness randomly turning all the way up when I'm just trying to make a sandwich. It's inexcusable. Once again, a series I have loved my entire life is giving me extremely conflicted feelings. As a DLC, the Indigo Disk is pretty great. The story's a bit weak, but all the activities surrounding it are a blast, including the challenging battles, the new terrarium zone, the BBQ system and its rewards, and all the benefits of playing cooperatively with friends. I would consider this an excellent DLC if it wasn't shackled to a game that is still, over a year later, an ugly and broken technical mess. If you've already decided to ignore Scarlet and Violet's jank, you'll probably have a good time with the Indigo Disk. I had a good time too, just, in between deep, exasperated sighs. For more Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, check out our review of the base game and our review of the first DLC, the Teal Mask. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
After more than a quarter century of wandering the globe, capturing wild animals, and somehow never looking a day over 11, Ash Ketchum is stepping down as the protagonist of the Pokémon anime. But there are new heroes on the horizon, or rather, horizons, on Pokémon Horizons, the series. Here to tell me all about it from the Pokémon Company International are Andy Ghost and Hillary Thomas. What's up?
Hi.
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yes. So this is very momentous to have you here. This is the first time Pokemon has been at Comic-Con.
Yeah, first time at SDCC.
What's it been like? How was the panel?
It was amazing. The panel went super well. Like, the audience was really responsive to all the cool new things we shared with them, and yeah, I mean, it was a blast.
It was really incredible, like, to be on stage and have people, watching the content that we've made and responding the way that I hoped they would, and it was so exciting. It was one of the greatest honors of my life.
That is awesome. That is so cool. But yeah, let's talk about the new stuff. Well, first of all, we have the ending to Pokemon Ultimate Journeys, the series, which we're finally going to say goodbye to Ash and Pikachu. And I know some people out there, they saw it air in Japan and know what happens, but I haven't watched it yet. I know a lot of people out there have not as well, and they're just emotionally steeling themselves for it. So why was now the time that Ash and Pikachu were saying goodbye?
I mean, I think Ash has been after it for so long, and he's become such an icon, and, I think he's grown. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, giving him a really fitting send-off and really sort of wrapping things up for him is, I don't know, I think it's awesome. I'm very happy to be a part of it.
Yeah.
It's really bittersweet though, because I've been a fan my whole life, like since I was 16. And I always thought Ash and Pikachu were gonna be there. I always thought it was gonna go on, but like, now we're gonna have a whole new set of stories, and I'm excited to tell those.
Well, and it is very cool, though. We have sort of a lovely send-off for Ash and Pikachu where, they kind of travel the lands a bit and revisit some old friends, and there are a lot of folks that the audience is going to appreciate seeing in those episodes.
It's a little bit of a victory lap. Like, Brock and Misty come back. We'll see Lapras. We'll see a lot of these fan favorites. The Squirtle Squad comes back, which is awesome.
Squirrel Squad represent. Let's go.
Team Rocket will be there, of course.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah. Well,
Are they going to blast off again one more time?
one more time.
I have a
You'll
feeling.
have to watch.
But so once that series is over, you're launching a new show, Pokémon Horizons. That's very exciting. What is the show about?
Well, in really broad strokes, it's we have dual protagonists for the first time. We have a female protagonist for the first time, which is incredible. And it's really about this young girl, Liko, and her sort of discovering herself and finding herself and meeting up with this whole crew of people on an airship, of all things, and really sort of exploring the world, exploring themselves, and making these friendships and partnerships that are going to last a lifetime.
She's sort of swept up into a grand adventure, and we're really excited to share that with everybody.
Yeah, so who are the new protagonists of the show?
So Liko, who we spoke of, they're dual protagonists actually, Liko and Roy, but I'll speak to Liko first. So Liko is sort of a younger girl coming of age, sort of figuring out what life is about, and her parents send her off to Indigo Academy where they went to school, and her grandmother sends her off with a pendant, which becomes very important and part of this adventure we're speaking of. There she's paired with Sprigatito, her partner Pokemon, and Liko's sort of introvert, sort of in her head, very pensive, figuring things out, and Sprigatito is very capricious, very tending to do whatever it wants to do. Impulsive, thank you. And the two start to act on each other very quickly, and we start to see a side of Liko that starts to add a lot of depth and dimension, and I love that about her. Yeah.
And as an introvert with anxiety myself, I super relate to Liko.
Oh, I love that. And the other protagonist, what's their partner Pokemon?
Yeah, Roy is the other protagonist. His partner Pokemon is Fuecoco. It doesn't start off that way, actually, though, because Roy comes from an island that's a little bit unique in terms of the Pokemon world. There aren't really Pokemon trainers. People don't have partner Pokemon. They don't, team up like that. They don't battle. They just kind of live in harmony with the Pokemon. But Roy is very online, just like me, and he knows exactly what a Pokemon trainer is, and he knows that that's what he wants to be.
Okay.
And so he's gonna make that happen.
Okay, Sprigatito and Fuecoco, I'm not hearing anything about Quaxley. I'm taking the a little personally as a Quaxley starter main over here.
Let me tell you, Quaxley is incredibly important to this series in ways that I am not allowed to talk to you about right now.
I'll just take that as the best is yet to come for me personally. Yeah. So this is actually what I want to know the most about. Captain Pikachu. We've seen Pikachu wear all sorts of hats over his career, especially if you have Pokemon Go. You probably have a whole box full of just Pikachu wearing different hats. This is Pikachu in a captain's hat. Who is Captain Pikachu? Who's his trainer? What's the deal there? What's he the captain of?
Yeah, so Captain Pikachu, great question. Captain Pikachu is Pikachu as we've never seen a Pikachu before. This Pikachu is actually the captain of the airship for the Rising Volt Tacklers that are kind of our hero, our good guys. It's, Pikachu with a command and a presence and, really truly a captain.
Yeah, and it's sort of independent, which is interesting. So it works with Freed and is friends with Freed, but Freed's partner Pokemon is Charizard, and Freed is the leader of the Rising Volt Tacklers. So him and Cap work side by side as a team all the time.
Yeah, the swashbuckling Freed and the sort of commanding captain. It's a great pairing.
That sounds really cool. Who are the villains of the show going to be?
Well, villain might be a little strong term.
Who are the antagonists going to be? Who's going to get in Captain Pikachu's way?
Well, we have a team, a sort of a mysterious team called the Explorers. And they seem to be headed up by a young man named Methio, who his partner Pokemon is Cerulege. And he's very sort of calculating. He's a little bit cold, maybe. He's very intimidating as a person, Methio is, and he wants to get Lico's pendant, and we don't know why.
Ooh, okay. So I saw from the trailer. There's speaking of him, yeah.
There you go.
There's the trailer. There's also a weird, I don't know, mechanical or bejeweled Pokeball or something like that.
Roy has a Pokeball that he has, and it is integral to the mysteries that we'll be exploring later in the season.
That's one of the exciting things about the new show is it starts off and introduces us to these characters, gets us into this adventure with so many questions and mysteries to sort of unravel as the season goes on. So we have to be a little cagey to make sure that we don't spoil anything for anyone.
Of course. Well, all this sounds great. I think, as you said, the word's bittersweet. I feel kind of sad that Ash and Pikachu are going away, but I'm very excited to meet this new cast of characters and go on a new adventure with them through the sky with Captain Pikachu. We're all out of time here, but thank you so much for coming and talking to me at Comic-Con.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes. So I have been a massive fan of Pokemon my entire life, and I'm so happy new generations get to grow up with a Pokemon series of their own, even though Indigo League will always be the best. We've got lots more ahead right here at IGN's Comic-Con coverage, so don't go anywhere. And I do see a little glitter under here, so let's see. I think I have a hit. Are you ready?
Oh! Let's go! All right, we can retire. Yes.
What's up, everybody? Josh Yale here, IGN's resident Psyduck trainer, with Tom Jorgensen, our resident, what kind of trainer?
Oh, I go Gengar, sometimes Alakazam. I'm a big ghost boy, and it's spooky season and fit.
But we have something really cool here, a very special Pokemon set, the Pokemon 151 set, which has all of the Pokemon originally found in the Kanto region.
Yes, many people would say Gen 1 is the best gen, and those people would probably be over the age of 20, just like us. So we're pretty excited for this.
Yes. So this is a special set, which means you can't just go buy boosters and get booster boxes and stuff. You have to buy special products that have boosters in them. Although one of the products is just full of boosters. But anyways, we have an Elite Trainer box. We have an Alakazam EX collection. And then we have a booster bundle, which have the aforementioned just box of packs with some packs in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to open all these, show you what's inside. But then also, we're going to crack all the booster packs
and see how much of the 151, Gen 1 Pokédex we can complete with just this. So you ready to begin?
I am. Let's go.
Okay, let's start with the Elite Trainer box. Oh yeah.
All the art for this.
Of course, we've got the player's guide, which has a look at all of the different cards that you can get. Okay, so we're gonna open the packs at the end, but how many packs do we have there?
Let's see. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 packs right here.
Okay. Oh, these are awesome. These are some new, cool-looking poison and burn tokens, and then some dice. That's a cool set of dice. Then we also have some new energy. We love that.
Oh, very nice.
Of each type. And then, so with this fitting to the Snorlax theme of the Elite Trainer box, we get a special promo card of Snorlax taking a little nap. And who is that on his tummy there?
That looks like Pidgey.
And then some sleeves. Oh, these are very, very cool, colorful sleeves that have a silhouette of a different color of all the different Pokemon from Kanto. Oh my goodness.
That'd make a great shirt. Just that pattern on a shirt
That
would look
would.
incredible.
And then, you know what? Here's the code for, I guess, whoever can luckily...
Editor, blur that.
Tom claims it. No, whoever can be the first to claim this can have this, the code that gets you some goodies. That's everything for the Elite Trainer box. And I've made a mess here. But yeah, let's move on to the Alakazam EX collection.
Let's do it. Looks like we got, what is this, 3 packs in here? 4 packs. But that's not really the highlight of this collection. The highlights of this collection are these 3 boys down in front.
So what we have here is Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam EX. And then yeah, for anyone at home who wants their very own digital version of this.
Just giving it away. No, we're just giving stuff away.
Tom. One person out there is able to snatch
Whoever
it.
commented first on YouTube, it's all yours probably.
And that had 4 packs
That was
in
4
it.
packs.
Add
yeah.
that to the pile. Oh, then the last thing is just this booster bundle, which I can already see says includes 6 booster packs, and it has Mew on the front
Yes, Mew is one of the hot cards out of this set, correct?
there. All right, 6 packs.
All right.
All right, how many packs do we get in total from these 3 products?
6 plus 4 plus 9. 6.
19? 19, yeah. Sorry, took us a second there.
So I think we each take 9, and then whoever gets the best haul gets to crack the last pack.
Okay, we'll
I think
put the last pack right there.
That's the prize. That's the one with Mew
Sure.
in it.
Okay, we each have 9 packs. Whoever gets the better haul can open the last pack.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Okay, so now we're gonna see if we can. Wait a second, I saw that. We're gonna see how close we can get to completing the Kanto Dex with 19 packs. Tom's gonna take his time. I got the first pack here. Let's see. Oh, I got Pikachu, everyone's favorite. And then also these are numbered in Pokédex order, which normally is not how they do it. Normally it's they're grouped by type, and there's no Pokédex numbering to be involved. But I do like that they did that for this, so you can easily keep track of how close you're getting to completing the 151. Here's Farfetch'd.
Venonat.
I got a Pidgeotto, which knows Flap.
Oh, well, I got a Pidgey to go right with it. Trying to catch me out? No way. Voltorb.
Also have a Nidoqueen, which some people might be confused to why it's dark type, but they did sort of a reshuffling of the types to rebalance the game, and all poison type Pokemon wound up as dark Pokemon.
Oh, there you go. They must have been crabby after that happened.
Wow. We have Victory Bell.
What do I have? Hitmonchan.
Oh, I got Golduck.
There you go. Seeking. I was seeking, and now I've found it.
We got Execute.
Butterfree. Still crying from that episode of the show.
Goodbye, Butterfree! I'll always remember you! Thank you for everything! Goodbye, Butterfree!
Oh, let's see, I've got a Chansey. Ooh, nice and shiny.
Dugong. Magneton. Dodrio.
Got a Magmar, everyone's favorite fire duck.
All right, I got a Caterpie here. And what's your next one here, Josh?
I have a Shelder.
Ooh, very nice. I got Eevee. Everyone
You
loves
got Eevee?
Everyone loves Eevee.
Oh, I got a Bellsprout.
Here's a Grimer.
Here's Horsey.
Weedle.
Oh, I got Primeape. Very cool.
Ooh. Oh, another Nidoqueen.
Okay, now we're starting to double up, right? So this is what's going to prevent us from getting all the way to 151. I got a Fearow.
I got a big air balloon. You know how much air I can fit in this?
Oh, I got an Onyx.
Hey.
Brock's favorite.
Oh, well, how about he can go right there with my Geodude.
Oh, I got a Hollow. I got a Cloyster.
Ooh, that will go with your Shelder. And a Meowth. I got a Machamp here, a nice Hollow Machamp.
Flareon, reverse Hollow. We love to see that. And also my final card is an Electrode.
Ooh, we got a Voltorb somewhere down here.
Oh yes, my favorite starter of all time, a Bulbasaur.
Adorable. Ekans, slightly less adorable.
Oh wow, this is S tier Slowpoke art.
Oh, Cubone, sweet Cubone.
This is actually kind of fun putting these in the proper Pokédex order, seeing it all come together. I got a Growlithe.
Vulpix here.
Oh, beautiful. I got a Rapidash.
Ooh. I have a Magnemite. I got a Raticate here.
I got Nidorina. Oh, I got an Abra. Of course, we already have Abra from the set, but they actually are a little different. Well, this is a reverse Hollow Abra, and this is the Abra that comes in the Alakazam collection.
Ooh.
See, there's a different hollow foil pattern there.
That's much nice. You got a reverse hollow Ditto right there.
Yo, we love a Ditto.
And you know what we're not gonna do? We're not gonna try to peel this one because that's not gonna work and it's gonna ruin the card.
That was last year's
Yes.
Ditto.
That was so last year.
Oh, I got an Articuno.
Ooh, hey, there it is.
I think this is fitting because I'm like standing in front of a an Articuno. Ah.
I have a Beedrill. It's less special than that. Poliwag.
Oh, I got a Lapras. I got a Scyther. I got an Executor, reverse hollow.
Ooh, Dragonair.
Oh, Tom, I think I got something that you're gonna like, given what kind of trainer you are. A Gengar.
Ooh. Yeah, I like Gengar. Maybe my tied for first favorite Pokemon
Really?
with Alakazam.
All right, we'll talk about this later. Maybe we could do a trade.
Yeah, we got a Starmie here, nice hollow Starmie,
Oh,
pretty
beautiful.
cool.
We got Nidoran, getting us one step closer to completing the Ghost evolution line. Is this Ghastly, a Paris. I got a Hitmonlee, and we all
Based
know
on Jackie Chan, of course.
Absolutely, yeah, that's correct.
Drowsy there. There we go. He's a sleepy boy. Diglett there.
Got a Wartortle. Wow,
Ooh.
that is really cool.
I love that. That's really nice.
Oh, a Hypno.
Ooh, that'll go with my Drowsy I just put down. We got a Nidorino right here. Nice little hollow Wheezing here.
Ooh. James would be so proud.
You know, Joshua, I gotta say, so far we've seen a lot of cool art. We've seen some decent hollows. We haven't gotten any like showstoppers.
Right, we haven't gotten any big hits.
Yeah.
I got a Rhydon.
A Metapod. There we go. That completes our Butterfree evolution set. The circle of life, right? You start out as a Caterpie, you progress to being a Metapod, hard, afraid to let the world in, and eventually you blossom into a beautiful Butterfree, and then Ash sets you loose with your partner Butterfree, and you fly off into the sunset, cause children to cry.
Yeah, and you say bye-bye Butterfree.
Goodbye, Butterfree!
Ponyta for that Rapidash.
Clefairy.
Ooh, I love that.
I got a
Primeape.
Vaporeon.
Oh, I think I might have our first, I think I might be out in the lead here a little bit. Our first EX card.
Yo!
Golem EX. Golem, another pretty awesome stage 2 evolution.
Golem always freaked me out because it was like Geodude, like a rock with arms, and then Graveler, a rock with more arms, and now it's like a reptilian creature bursting forth from a rock. I was like, oh my god.
Get ready for me. All right, Golem 76.
I got the other Nidoran. And we've got the evolution to Horsey, which is Seadra.
Here's something for you. Praise the Helix.
Oh, wow.
Praise be. Yes, we love the Helix fossil.
That's a coincidence because I just got Kabuto.
Ah, that won't have any connection there because that's the dome fossil.
Well,
but
it's
that's okay.
close-ish. Okay, I got a Pidgeot.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Which again completes another set for us.
A Machoke to go with Machamp there.
Okay, whoa, I got a Hollow Marowak, which does actually tell somewhat of a story here with this Cubone. Here's Cubone at night with all these stone pillars around, but then it evolves into Marowak and it's like smashed all the pillars, probably because it's so upset about its mother.
Yeah, don't Google it. Don't Google it. Or don't play the Lavender Town arc in Pokemon Red and Blue. Just stop when the game puts you at that point. Just stop right there, because it's gonna hit you in the feels. Got a Persian here to go with my Meowth. All right, 2 packs left for me. What about you?
This is my second to last, and I have one more after
We've got another evolution set here. I love
Krabby
this
and
artist.
Kingler. What do you got, Tom?
Let's see. Oh, a Zubat.
Oh, nice, our first Zubat.
Yes.
Normally you run into those
Usually,
all the
yeah,
time.
we should have had like 30 or 40 of these at this point.
All right, I have a Hollow Dragonite.
Nice. I love that Dragonite. Dragonite should always be that very cartoony, plushy, huggable looking dragon.
Yeah, he's a big derpy boy. I really like him. And I do see a little glitter under here, so let's see. I think I have a hit. Ready?
Oh! Let's go!
Mew.
All right, we can retire. Yes.
This Mew is really cool because it is one of the few competitively viable cards from this set. Mew can copy the opposing Pokemon's attack with this attack called genome hacking, which is very Mew. Like he has the DNA of all Pokemon, so he can really just do whatever they can do.
The only, if I remember correctly, the only Pokemon in the original 151 that can learn any TM. Can be taught any TM, any HM.
Mew do whatever it wants.
Yep. I have a Goldeen, so nothing to compete with there. Rhyhorn, we already got one of those.
Oh, we have a Rhydon.
Oh, we
here.
don't have a All right, well there we go. Another evolution set.
I think we're both down to our last pack.
I don't know how I'm gonna beat Mew EX.
I don't know either.
Maybe a Charizard? We haven't seen a Charizard.
We actually haven't. Have we seen any pieces of the Charmander?
We haven't even seen a Charmander or a Charmeleon, no.
No, wow. Ooh. Okay. We got Pidgey. Oh, we got a...
Sandshrew. Seal. A Doduo. Tentacool.
I pulled an Arcanine. We have a Snorlax here. Oh! I got a Psyduck!
Right at the end, he got his little Psyduck.
I got
buddy.
a Psyduck!
Well, hold on now. What's the story here?
What's the
Where's
story?
Golduck?
All right, we have Psyduck and Golduck. Psyduck's just happy to be there, and Golduck's like, finally, my headache went away.
It's probably from diving in the water. That's my guess.
I got a Kabutops, which of course completes.
You're gonna need that dome fossil though.
I don't think we got the dome fossil, but
Nope. Well,
that's
we
fine.
have 1 pack left.
We do have 1 pack left.
I would say, seeing as you pulled Mew EX, I think that one's your. Of course, as we all know, this is the one with Charizard in it. And I have, when I was like 8 years old buying base set packs, one of my greatest life achievements to this point was correctly pulling a pack and saying, this one has a Charizard in it, I know it. I pulled it out, and what was it? It was a Charizard. Did I say that before I opened every pack of cards? Yes, I did, but I was right that time.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So that one's the one with the Charizard.
The one with the Charizard in it. Okay. Our first Charmeleon, a Parasect. Coughing goes with wheezing there. Oh, snap.
Hey!
Full art Blastoise EX.
So wrong Gen 1 starter, but we did end with a pretty sweet one.
That's going out with a bang.
Yeah.
Your element was wrong.
That's okay. I'm usually out of my element.
All right, so we have counted how many Pokemon we got out of the 151 in this set. How many did we get, Tom?
We got 94, and 94 is honestly a lot better than I thought we were gonna do. We opened 19 packs, so that's 190 cards there. So actually hitting 94 of the original 151 is pretty good considering.
Yeah, it got us over halfway there. That's 68% of the Kanto Dex complete. That's pretty good for just 3 products.
Yeah, and I think if you were trying to get all 151, if you're trying to do the Ash Ketchum special, maybe you need about double the packs that we opened roughly, but you know what? Pretty good, 68% completion is pretty nice.
Yeah, you probably need double the amount, but then trade your friends for the ones you couldn't get.
Trading in Pokemon? Who does that?
Wait, how were you able to complete the Pokédex in red and blue without
Game
trading?
Shark. Game Shark.
What? No, get this guy out of here.
Shark.
No. Okay.
I've got mine right.
We're getting out of here before before the people in the comments come after Tom. But no, thank you, Tom, so much. This was super fun opening 151 with you.
It was, and I'm just sitting here waiting for my missing no card. That's my dream, my 152.
All right, well, thank you so much for watching, and for more Pokemon, keep it here on IGN.
Hello, my name is Joshua Yale, IGN's resident Pokemaniac, and I flew across the world to Japan to cover the 2023 Pokemon World Championships in Yokohama. This is the first time Worlds has been held in Japan, so to take advantage of this momentous occasion, the Pokemon Company invited a group of media to visit the Creatures office. Any Pokemon fan will know that Creatures is one of the owners of the Pokemon brand and is best known for making the Pokemon trading card game. As a competitive Pokemon player myself, you can imagine I was totally chill during the whole tour. So let me walk you through my visit, which included the amazing reception area, an interview with the art team, a hands-on art project, a look at the playtesting process, and a chat with the lead game designer himself. So we walk into Creatures and the lobby is this big white room with white walls made up of thousands of small metal Pokemon cards. It was kind of trippy walking around. There were 3 big stone Pokemon cards on the wall: Charizard, Blastoise, and the iconic Pokemon card back. They looked like ancient carvings and were bursting with crystals and precious metal. It was so cool. They told us the small cards on the wall had hidden energy cards, so we went around like kids on an Easter egg hunt trying to find them all.
They actually removed Fairy from the trading card game a couple years ago, but we never forget them. There's a Fireland to the left of Charizard. I never would have guessed that.
Next, we went downstairs to the Creatures relaxation zone, but they wouldn't let us film because that's where they're actively developing new secret stuff. So here are some photos they gave us to share. It's a large area with tables and chairs and lots of Pokemon statues scattered about, like a Snivy hiding in the planters. There was a coffee bar made to look like the Hi-Hat Cafe from the Detective Pikachu movie, complete with a maquette of Detective Pikachu on the countertop. Hope he doesn't get any fur in the coffee. They had a TV with a Switch and PS5 for playing video games during their breaks, and there was a giant Snorlax plushie sleeping on its back with a Pokeflute replica on its tummy. We were encouraged to pet the Snorlax, and I can totally see why, because he's super soft and comfy. Do you think they let them take naps on his belly? We went back upstairs and interviewed the illustration team. They gave us these earpieces so we could hear their answers translated from Japanese into English in real time, which was very much appreciated because I only know like 3 words of Japanese. One artist who goes by Teezero said she loves drawing giant monsters, so they always assign her those kinds of Pokemon, like Orbeetle VMAX abducting this poor kid. Another artist known as Ghidorah said he's become known for showing aggressive Pokemon, whereas artist Yuka Mori said it's her job to make the Pokemon look cute. She's known for her signature clay models that are photographed to make Pokemon card art. I am a big fan of her work because, yeah, it is so cute. And I lose my mind just a little bit when she says she's going to teach us how to make a clay Pokemon model. She says we're going to make Magnemite, just like the one she made for this card. She gives everyone a packet of supplies with different colored clays and Magnemite's accessories. First, we take a peanut-sized chunk off the main white blob to use for the eyeball. Then we mix in the little blue and green blobs with the white to make that nice blue-gray metal color. She gives me some advice on how to mix it, and I tell her I think I'm getting the hang of it because I used to help my dad knead pizza dough when I was a kid. Then we roll it all into a ball. I handle the clay a little too much and it starts to dry out. Oops. We use the white blob to make the eyeball and add the black for the pupil. Since mine is already misshapen because I dried it out too much, I decide to play into that and make him kind of depressed. I think it's working. Now it's time to add the accessories, making sure the blue and red magnets are aligned just like in the picture. Everyone else did a great job. Me, maybe not so much. But theirs looked so cute. I asked Yuka to grade my Magnemite, and she said it could stand to be a little more round and smooth, and I say that his dents and cracks are totally on purpose and that they give him character. And she says, oh, my mistake, I see what you did there. You really are a gifted artist. In fact, can I hire you right now on the spot? And I'm flattered, but I have to humbly decline, and she tries to insist that I share my gift with the world, and I say that I just want to remain a fan of Pokemon art, not be a creator of it. And she's like, wow, respect. So anyways, I package up my Magnemite and get ready for our big interview with the lead game designer, Atsushi Nagashima. As lead designer, it's his job to oversee developing mechanics, game development, and art. My big takeaway was how impressive it is that he put so much thought into making sure the game as a whole captures the fantasy of being a Pokemon trainer. I'm a competitive player who only focuses on the best meta cards, but he says his job isn't necessarily to make cards that help you win, but to create an environment where you can have fun. He said he always imagines the Pokemon on the cards battling in a big stadium, and creating that feeling is always at the forefront of his design decisions. So all aspects of a card from HP to attacks are done in service of attaining that exciting vision.
That was incredible!
On the subject of the metagame, he said that they introduce strong cards on purpose and pretty much design what the metagame will be and aren't often surprised. That said, there was one card that caught him off guard, Mega Adino EX, which was used by Japanese player Shintaro Ito to win the 2016 World Championship. Pretty much everyone considered that card to be completely useless, and it clearly wasn't designed to be that good, but a creative player found a way to use it in an unexpected way. I remember being in the crowd watching that happen in real time, so it's nice to know the game designers were just as shocked as we were.
Absolutely dominant performance by Shintaro. I could not have predicted this in a million years.
So whose job is it to ensure Pokemon cards are balanced? The Pokemon TCG playtesters, which sounds like a dream job if I've ever heard it. They showed us some proxy cards they use to test new cards. They print out the cards on paper and glue it to a real card, not unlike I would do at home, but theirs look way better. They showed us an example of how they balance cards by setting up a scenario with 3 Venusaur EX that have a healing ability. They said they had to adjust the amount it heals to ensure it would offer some healing but not create a squad of immortal Venusaurs. They said there's an important skill that playtesters need to have, and it's the ability to come up with weird board states like that to really explore what a card can do, which is a lot different from skills that make a good competitive player. And that's when I realized I would be terrible at this job. Finally, they tell us they have a playtesting room where their group of 18 playtesters play the game 7 hours a day. And in that room are all these filing cabinets containing a copy of every single card ever created. I had always dreamed of what this place would be like, and I suddenly felt a bit emotional, like Charlie walking into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory for the first time, but with less death traps.
I want it now!
Well, that wraps up my visit to Creatures. To say I had the time of my life is an understatement. I never wanted to leave, but seeing how much security they had around the place, it's probably best I left of my own accord. Getting a look behind the scenes at how they make the Pokemon TCG gave me a new appreciation for the game I love so much, and at the very least, it showed me I'll always have a career as a clay model artist waiting for me should I choose to pursue it. Right? Right? Well, that's all for now. Keep it locked to IGN for more from Pokemon Worlds.
Hello everyone, I'm Ishihara from the Pokémon Company. Today, February 27, is Pokémon Day. This is the date that the Pokémon Red and Pokémon Green games were first released in Japan. Our adventures with Pokémon, which started with the simple fun of collecting, trading, and battling in the Pokémon Red and Pokémon Green games, have expanded to fit into so many facets of daily life, including walking and sleeping. We'll keep challenging ourselves to create new ways to enjoy Pokémon, and we hope you'll continue your adventures with us. Today, we will be bringing you all the latest news about Pokémon, including our newest titles. Mr. Utsunomiya, please take it away.
Hello, I'm Utsunomiya from the Pokémon Company. I hope everyone has enjoyed their adventures in the Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet games so far. To commemorate Pokémon Day, we've planned a series of Terra Raid battle events where you'll be able to face off against a mighty Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard. The first of these Terra Raid battle events will begin tomorrow. We hope you will all enjoy these raids. Today, I'd also like to share the latest updates on a number of our other games. Please have a look at this.
A collaboration event with Pokémon Go is on its way. Pikachu wearing Cap's hat is making its debut. It even knows an attack new to Pokémon Go, Volt Tackle. Charcadet, Armarouge, and Ceruledge are coming too. And Liko and Roy will be dropping in when you snap a pick and go snapshot. So set out on an adventure with your new friends.
I never give up! We're just getting started.
We're the greatest in the world! You're the greatest and strongest partner I could ask for.
Fight!
Moving on, please have a look at this video. What you just saw was the world's first look at Pokémon trading card game Pocket. This game lets you easily collect Pokémon cards, which players all over the world have enjoyed since they debuted in 1996, but in a new digital format. The Pokémon Company is developing this game as a three-party collaboration with Creatures Inc., the creators of the Pokémon trading card game, and DNA, our partners in the development of Pokémon Masters EX. To mark the launch of this title, here's a message from Mr. Yuji Kitano, President and CEO of Creatures. Mr. Kitano, take it away.
Hello everyone, I'm Yuji Kitano from Creatures Inc. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for enjoying the Pokémon trading card game. With Pokémon trading card game Pocket, we hope to bring you all a new way to enjoy the Pokémon trading card game, so we are hard at work developing digital cards. When we develop physical cards, we strive to please by taking great care with our paper quality, colors, and printing process. Since this game uses mobile devices rather than paper, we're challenging ourselves to express that care in new ways that are only possible digitally, such as using the characteristics of the screen to show off brilliant colors and stylish effects. One way we're accomplishing this is with immersive cards, which give players the experience of leaping into the world of the card illustration. What's more, we've developed new streamlined game rules based on our existing battle system, so you can enjoy a quick battle during the free moments in your day. Our three companies are all working hard to deliver a fun experience for those of you who already enjoy the Pokémon trading card game, as well as those who've never played before. We hope you look forward to the results of our latest efforts in the world of the Pokémon trading card game, Pokémon Trading Card Game Pocket. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kitano. We plan to launch Pokémon Trading Card Game Pocket within 2024. Please look forward to more details in the future. Just one more thing. We'd like to end today's presentation with one final video for you all. Thank you for tuning in.
Good morning, Super Nintendos, and welcome to a very special live episode of Nintendo Voice Chat, episode 700. And we just watched the Pokemon Presents all 14 minutes of it. Everyone woke up early. Joshua drove across LA. Anyway, I am Seth Macy. I am joined by IGN's Elite 3 trainers, Reb Valentine.
I'm still processing what I just saw.
Joshua Yale, who appears to be having some sound issues at the moment, but trust me, he is here. And Miranda Sanchez, and you might see one of Miranda's cats.
Hi, good morning. Yes, there is one in the background. You'll see probably later. She's sleeping because it is very early on the West Coast.
It's very early on the West Coast, but I appreciate that you all woke up to be here for a Pokemon Presents that was literally 13 minutes long. But let's get right into it. But first, I'm sorry, I have to do a little housekeeping. So, and I copy pasted the wrong part. While I've got you, I wanted to shout out our pals at Humble Bundle, where you can regularly grab a ton of great games for dirt cheap, and the proceeds go towards supporting great causes. Right now, Humble is teaming up with IGN to offer 20 lucky IGN readers a chance to win Humble Choice memberships for 12 months. Head over to humblebundle.com/bundle to grab some games today. And then I also have a part about FanFest. I get you access to a ton of awesome giveaways and great deals you won't find anywhere else. This is IGN Rewards. Right now, in collaboration with Starforge Systems and 11th Hour Games, IGN Rewards members have the opportunity to win a custom Last Epoch PC. Oh, that's kind of dope. Additionally, IGN Rewards, even for me, it's early. Additionally, IGN Rewards provides access to more giveaways, including the chance to win a free MetaQuest, a Steam Deck, Xbox, and PS5 controllers, plus much more. Signing up is completely free and takes just a moment. So simply head over to IGN.com/rewards. Okay. Fortunately, we have lost Joshua for the time being. But again, we're doing a live show, and it's kind of crazy. It's kind of wild. So let's talk about the early morning Pokemon Presents. And I'm going to open up the conversation. Reb,
You're killing me, Seth!
Do you feel like it was worth waking up this early?
90% no, but the ending was really interesting. I'm still like we literally just finished, and I haven't like read the discourse. I haven't gotten to watch it back yet. I'm still processing what that last thing was.
We are the discourse.
We are the discourse. Like the final reveal. I guess it's called Pokemon Legends ZA? Is that what we're going with? I don't. Pokemon Legends ZA? Yeah. Yeah. Because, like, there were so many. Yeah, if you remember the conversation, I think we talked about this on the show, like, not that long ago. We were talking about how after Pokemon X and Y came out, there were all these rumors that there was going to be a Pokemon Z, and then there never was. And then a lot of the Zygarde stuff got sort of repurposed into a later game. And now there were, again, like, rumors that we were going to get some sort of Pokemon Legends game. Maybe it was going to be black and white. We didn't know. So this is interesting. So it's Kalos region. That's what we're doing. This is not what anyone thought we were getting.
No. Well, all right.
Well, I actually called this because, Pokemon...
Never mind. Joshua thought we were getting this.
Welcome back, Joshua.
Pokemon Z, it was Pokemon ZA all along, which is short for pizza, which is from Italy, which is near France. and Lubio City is based on, Paris. So it all makes sense to me. Come on, guys.
Yeah, it checks out.
We also saw the Mega Evolution symbol. Is that what that was at the very, very tail end? Yeah, so Mega Evolution coming back. I'm into it.
All right.
Just a quick question. Do you guys think this is like a futuristic, like, whereas in our last Legends, it was set in the past, this one looks like it's set in the future?
Yeah, that's
Based
a
on-
good shout. I think you might be right.
I think the confidential, like, I guess urban redevelopment plan, like, that could be like a futuristic, like, we're making this again, like, we're improving. That could hint at that in a weird way. And I think just like that sort of 3D, we're going in the game, like, intro for it kind of gave me those vibes that they want to do some sort of like revamp. It's like, this is a historic place and now we're going forward. Do you think that's like a potential for this to kind of play with what like the Legends means?
I think you're absolutely right. I wasn't clocking that when I was watching it because I wasn't expecting a Legends Kalos game. But I think you're absolutely right. I think the Legends series is going to be defined not specifically by going into the past, but just by time travel in general. And I think that's exactly
well, I was noticing here as we're rewatching the little teaser trailer, the Z has sort of a futuristic grid on it, while the A almost looks organic, like the leaves or the woods. So, I don't know what that could possibly mean, but we'll find out in 2025, apparently.
Well, to see looking like that it's like a Zygarde pattern, right? Because Zygarde is this cellular Pokemon. Like, that's the whole thing around Zygarde. And so it looks kind of like that, but you're right that it has sort of a futuristic tone to it.
Yeah. I want to shout out the logo reveal because it's almost ridiculous because it's Pokemon. And then like 2 beats, then Legends. You're like, oh, okay. And then another 2 beats. Z, all right. And then a hyphen. Probably the best hyphen reveal I've ever seen. Well, I guess
it's like how I imagine they develop game titles at Square Enix. They just keep like adding little bits onto the end over and over again.
Yeah, it's actually in the break room at Square Enix. They just have refrigerator, poetry, magnets, and that's how they name Kingdom Hearts games. But all right, my next question. I mean, we obviously jumped right into this because this is probably the biggest news out of the Pokemon Presents. But how are we feel? Do we think this is going to be a Switch title, or do we think this is going to be something coming to the next generation Nintendo console, which apparently is rumored to be not coming out until 2025, just like Pokemon Legends ZA or Z-A or Z-A, which is a negative letter. Joshua, what do you think? Do you think we're gonna be seeing this? We're gonna be playing this on our next Nintendo console?
Well, I don't know. This feels like maybe a double dip where it might, because it's coming at the end of the Switch life console. So maybe we'll get it on both. That's the thing they do, right?
Yeah. They did it with Breath of the Wild. They did it with the Zelda game before that. I'm sorry, I'm slightly ill, so I'm having a hard time remembering things. But
we were just watching it back, and it did have the Nintendo Switch logo in the top right corner. I mean, that could mean anything. For years, they did the whole, it's the Nintendo 3DS family of systems business. But I think there's no way it doesn't release on the current Nintendo Switch. But I think Joshua's idea that it might be a double dip is not a bad one.
Yeah.
I did want to go back to the Mega Evolution symbol.
Yes.
I don't know if y'all agree with me, but I feel like popular consensus out there in the Pokemon community is that Mega Evolution is probably the high point of Pokemon mechanics, and they've been chasing it ever since, with Dynamax, Gigantamax, and the Terrestrialize, whatever. And honestly, they haven't really hit the same way as Mega Evolution. So the fact that they're returning to that's probably the most exciting thing to me, is the return of Mega Evolution, more Pokemon getting Mega Evolutions, maybe even different twists on pre-existing Megas. I don't know. But that is super exciting.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like it's as you said, a high point in those mechanics for special evolutions or special battle mechanics, and to have those come back. And I didn't even think about it like, oh yeah, we'll probably get new mega forms. Like there's so many Pokemon now. I mean, it always feels like there's so many Pokemon, but especially since it's been developed. So
yeah, Pikachu never got a Mega, or I guess Raichu. Psyduck didn't get one. That's an oversight. None of a lot of the marquee Pokemon did not get a Mega. So I feel like this is the time to go back and correct that mistake.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Go back and
I fully agree with all of that. I wanted to talk about it's coming out in 2025.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of a big thing in a couple different ways. It means Pokemon is unless they're going to pull something else out of their back pocket later in the year, which I don't think they are, because they would have shown it here. Like, we don't have a big Pokemon release this year. I think this is our first year in a while where we haven't had a big Pokemon release, which seems like it's good, because the big, we don't know what's going on internally at Game Freak, but one of the big speculations around what, like, the quality level of Scarlet and Violet and some of the other things they've done lately has been that they're not taking enough time to develop these games. So it's awesome that they're taking their time, presumably, and not releasing this till 2025. At the same time, what the heck is coming out on the Switch this holiday if the Switch successor indeed has been delayed to 2025? Like, what's their holiday game?
That's a good question. Metroid Prime 4.
I mean,
not too early to make jokes.
It shouldn't be on Pokemon to be the holiday game, to be clear. Like, I fully endorse this decision. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I did not expect them to. I kind of maybe just expected that this was in development or coming soon, but for them to say like a release window of 2025 is very interesting, because this is maybe the first Nintendo game that we know is coming in 2025. And so there is a very good possibility that this could be, the double dip launch game with whatever the next title is. But yeah, like, Joshua, what are we thinking for the holiday this year? There's no Pokemon. There's nothing. Kids are going to have the worst Christmas ever.
That's okay. It's giving me time to replay X and Y, I guess. I have to brush up on my my Gen 6 before this game.
All right. Fair enough. I actually just found my copy again, so maybe I'll go back through and finish it. But Miranda, what are you thinking? What is the Pokemon future for this year? Is like we know nothing.
Well, we have Pokemon Sleep updates, so that's
exciting. Let's get
Pokemon Sleep.
I know
both of you got excited about Sleep, and then Joshua had a great question that I want all of you to answer. Which of the legendaries would you most like to cover? Reb.
Oh, which of the legendaries? Ever that have ever existed?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Well, in the video, we saw that they're bringing Entei, Raikou, and Suicune. But if not those three, which one would you cuddle?
I mean, of those three, probably Entei, because Suicune seems like it would be cold and wet, and Raikou seems a little sharp. But I think Mew would be nice to cuddle with, actually. Small, soft, cute. Yeah.
Soft? It looks slimy.
What?
Mew, it's a cat.
Mew slimy.
I never thought
What?
Mew looked slimy.
Mewtwo is like a genetic
That's a different Pokemon, Joshua.
But they're from one and the same. Do you think he's a cat? Do you think he has fur? No, that's like skin. He's like one of those naked
DNA.
He's like
hairless
a
cats.
sphinx cat. Yeah.
Those are
He
nice
has a
too.
sphinx cat.
What's wrong with a hairless cat?
Yeah, you get to give them like little lotion massage and stuff. Like I think like you have to like bathe them specially, and they have to have little hoods and coats. Maybe
This
Mew
is
also just
Pokemon
needs a
hate.
coat.
Okay,
Well-
I am not giving Mew a lotion bath, okay? Reb, I actually have to check in with you. While we were watching, pretty much, every 5 seconds
my
you were
God.
screaming, let's go Johto. You were like, oh, is that Johto music? That's a Johto Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. Why did you think that was coming, and how do you feel that it was not a part of this Presents?
So I am tentatively excited for this Legends game, despite the fact that we have not seen any gameplay. I will point
No.
out zero gameplay, zero anything. That said, yeah, this was massive Johto bait. Like, at every second, they're putting the 3 legendary dogs from Johto in Pokemon Sleep. They were playing music from Generation 2, Gold, Silver, Crystal, in like the little interstitials between announcements. They were showing the unknown repeatedly, which, by the way, I need someone to tell me what those unknown at the end said, because I think my unknown reading abilities have gotten rusty. It was like soy something. I can't read unknown. Anyway, like they showed Silver in Pokemon, whatever the trainer game is. I've just lost it. Masters.
Masters,
Yeah. Silver was in that. There was just Johto stuff all over this presentation. And one of the big rumors we've heard, apart from Pokemon Black and White remakes, is a Pokemon, a Let's Go Johto, basically. Like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but with, I don't know, like Pichu and Togepi or something. I have no idea. And that's not what we got. And that's fine. They can make whatever they want, but it was really weird to tease this thing that people have been so excited about seemingly, and then just not do it.
Also, like at the end of Pokemon Let's Go, there is a little reference to like your heart and soul and stuff, and so it's like,
Yeah.
hey, the next one. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. I want to go back there. And to Rep's point too, like even looking at Pokemon Sleep, which I know we keep going back to, and I was like, yeah, I wish I was still playing Pokemon Sleep right now, but I'm not.
I wish I was sleeping.
Yeah, we're here instead. We could be playing a game in our sleep. But these are our first legendaries, and for it to be like Johto legendary specifically is so pointed that it's just a little weird. Like
I guess of all the legendaries, those are the ones that are like, I guess, best suited to sleeping, right? Like the legendary birds wouldn't make. I mean, you could do birds.
I mean,
birds roost.
You sleep with
They don't
rocks.
sleep.
That's
Literally,
true.
Like rock Pokemon. So it's like,
yeah.
Like Golem just like is in a ball next to me. I'm like, yeah, good job. You're
But
very
you're right.
effective
You're right.
Pokemon. So
it was very pointed.
Yeah. So it's there's a lot of evidence building up here that just doesn't quite make sense, and is honestly, at least on my side, just a little bit disappointing because I really loved Let's Go. I thought it was just such a nice way to revisit a place that you've already been, a nice introduction to people who don't want to play the originals, and it feels like a miss, especially if we're kind of getting to the end of Switch, and if the next version of whatever this looks like changes things up radically, it's like, I don't want to miss out on these mechanics that were really fun specifically on this device.
They are literally always doing this, though. Like, they are always teasing stuff and making us think that something's coming, and then, oh, psych, you were silly for thinking that was happening. Like, we talked about when everyone thought we were getting Pokemon Z. We talked about when everyone thought we were getting Pokemon Stars. We've talked about that on the show before. Remember, like, at the end of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, when you got to like this one area and they're like, oh, Battle Tower under construction coming soon. And we were all like, oh my God, we're getting some sort of either Emerald expansion or like, I don't know, Gamma Emerald. I don't even know what that would be. But we always think there's something, and then it's not that thing at all. And instead they're like, oh, we were teasing Scarlet and Violet the whole time. Did you see the oranges and the grapes on the counter in the previous game? You should have known. No.
Yeah.
I have a theory on the title Pokemon ZA.
Let's hear it.
I was looking over social media, and a lot of people have pointed out that in X and Y, one of the main characters is named AZ. Remember him? He was like the mysterious, like
Oh.
homeless man, and then it turned out he was the
Yeah.
former king of the Kalos region.
Yeah.
So perhaps if this is the future, maybe the future king is ZA, his descendant, or something like that. Who knows? But that does seem it can't be a coincidence that AZ was a major character and the game is called ZA, right? It has to mean something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that, and I completely forgot that guy's name was Az. I forgot. I memory hold that. Yeah. No, you're right.
Parents had interesting tastes.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Oh, I found what the unknown spells
Oh.
on Twitter. And apparently I'm not bad at reading unknown. It does seem to be just gibberish. It's like, it's SOEYUE. Soyu?
New legendary.
It's not anything.
Nope.
Oh, that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah. Well, it might be something. It might spell, it might be like a new Pokemon or a new something.
Or nothing at all. It could be anything.
Remember like the Sinnoh region in Diamond and Pearl was like renamed in Legends Arceus. Maybe this I don't know, but what it doesn't compute at this time.
Well, we only have a year at least to wait to find out what all of this means. I do like how they've just basically lied through this whole thing, tricked everybody into thinking more than there really was. And I'm sure that when trailer breakdowns, I'm sure we'll do a trailer breakdown, and then more information will emerge on the Legends ZA. I do like that they have my my Swordy Boys Pokemon, whose name, please forgive me, I always forget. It's like my favorite Gen 6 Pokemon, but
You can't remember the name of your favorite Gen 6 Pokemon?
I'm quite ill right now. The fact that I can remember where I am is pretty amazing. Honedge, thank you. Golly, there he is.
Well, that one's
that's not Honedge. That's the evolved.
Aegislash.
Thank you.
Aegislash, however you want to say.
Yeah. All right. Well, Joshua, you are an expert on basically all card games. Like, it's kind of impressive and amazing your depth of knowledge. And
I'm glad someone finds it impressive.
Yeah, I at last year in LA at the office, you and Teddy, who does contract work for us, you guys sat there and talked about, like, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! At a level that I've never heard anybody speak kind of on anything, and it was just like fascinating. And at one point, you looked at me and you're like, "I can't believe you're still standing here." It's like watching it's like watching Michael Jordan and LeBron trade tips. But I want to get your take on this new trading card game that Pokemon TCG Pocket. This is coming to the phone. You crack packs like twice a day. Are you excited for this, or does you think this takes anything away from the actual card game?
It's interesting because, well, on one hand, it does actually look cool. It seems like it's aimed at people who enjoy collecting and people who appreciate the art of Pokemon. And it does look so cool that I guess for some cards, you can go into the card frame and explore the world that the art and see what's outside the border. That sounds like a really cool experience. I can't wait to do that. Awesome. That said, the Pokemon trading card game community has been pretty unpleased with the current client that we use to play the card game online, Pokemon Live. And so the fact that they're making another game that you can play the game on, but it looks like a condensed, simpler version. But I think a lot of people are going to say, this Pocket app, whatever, it looks cool, fine, but can you give us a better app to play the actual game on? Because it's a little rough. It's really rough.
Is it the same app that they've been like using for all like years and years, or is there something newer? Because I remember when both my kids were really into it, like downloading that app. Is it like years ago? Is it the same one?
They finally, they sunset Pokemon Trading Card Game Online and replaced it with Pokemon Live. But it's just not the same. It feels like actually several steps backwards and is missing tons of features that the old one that was like 20 years old had. So yeah, we're in turmoil right now. Okay. So yeah, seeing this is really cool. And I think they know that most people who buy Pokemon cards actually are not playing the game, they're collecting. So I think they're leaning into that. It said that this was co-produced by or made by DNA, who does Pokémon Masters EX. And all I hear when I hear that is that this is going to have a lot of like gotcha mechanics or like microtransactions, and it's going to really incentivize people to want to open more than 2 packs a day. And I'm assuming that's going to cost real world money.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you think so it looked like there was some sort of quick battle feature. Do you think there's any possibility this replaces the current like live scenario?
No, I don't think so. I think I imagine just like when you have an app with cards on it that people will want to play a little bit. So there's giving people a way to do that on that app, but in no way does that replace the actual like full-fledged app where you can play the game, normally and at a competitive level. I think that would be a terrible idea to just get rid of the actual client in favor of a quick mode.
It does also seem like an entry point for people who are really into the collecting, and it's like, hey, you want to play with these cards that you have collected, to just like try it out and then like kind of get people sucked into that part of it. And that seems like a lot more approachable, especially since like people have known how to play Pokemon, the card game, for so long at this point, and this seems like a nice way to ease into it.
Yeah,
I think it is nice that they give you 2 packs per day. Like that feels sort of generous.
My hope is that because I haven't played the TCG in a really long time or collected or anything, but I remember years ago when I could buy a pack like in real life, and then it would always have the code in it, and I would put that into the online thing, and I would be able to open a pack online as well. And so I would hope for that kind of tie-in in this, so that people who are actively already engaged in the TCG are getting something for it, as opposed to just sort of restarting their collections. Or maybe there's a way to input cards that you actually physically own. I don't know, but like having to start from scratch kind of seems like it sucks. Yeah, I mean, probably not.
This looks to me like a license to print. I think that like the 2 packs seems generous, but I think you're going to get a lot of commons, and they're, I think DNA knows exactly what they're doing. They're going to make it, you get just a little taste. Well, I might as well spend $8 to buy the, 400 Poke Points, so I can buy an odd number of packs or something and still have some left over. But I mean, just the way that you open them, like a little slice across the top. I mean, I could just do that all day. It just looks so satisfying. It's like digital bubble wrap. Almost.
DNA also did Fire Emblem Heroes. They did Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. And I know Nintendo has been all like, oh, our mobile games didn't do very well or whatever, but both of those games got people to spend quite a bit of money. So, know.
The one that you were just, like I
Animal
said,
Crossing
I'm actually
Pocket
sick.
Camp, Fire Emblem Heroes?
The Fire Emblem Heroes, thank you. I wanted to say Dragon Warrior, but that's an NES game. Fire Emblem, I actually kind of got into that, and it was pretty thrilling. And I noticed here on the card game that they do have the sort of the diamond level rarity. And like, I remember getting like a rare hero in Fire Emblem and being all excited, even though I ended up just completely falling off that game, not playing it all. But yeah, I think this might be successful with a more, like Joshua, like you're saying, like a collector audience, but probably not for the hardcore, card game community out there. But all right. That was the Pokemon TCG Pocket. There's party hats coming to Pokemon Go for Pokemon Day. So
it wouldn't be a Pokemon Day unless we got some party hat Pokemon in Go.
And those are out right now. And then there's Pikachu with Cap's hat. Big Hat Day.
Big Hat Day.
Yeah. So if you want Cap's hat, you can start that with the Pokemon Go collab event. Terror Raid battle events begin tomorrow. What have I missed? Masters. Oh, this was a fun one. Masters EX celebrates 4.5 years. Like, all right, that's just kind of how like we're celebrating 700 shows. So, all right,
this is our 700th show.
This is our 700th episode of Nintendo Voice Chat.
Pokemon!
Yeah, I know it kind of fell on a cool day, and that we get to do a live show, even though everyone's really tired and I'm sick. But all right, we've kind of spoken on this during the course of our conversation, but I want to know, were your expectations met or were they not, and kind of how do you feel overall about this? Reb, I'd like to start with.
So I've said a lot of things about my feelings about this. I think Legends ZA is a really interesting surprise. I like that it wasn't what I expected. I'm only bummed out that we didn't get Johto because it was teased the whole show. I didn't actually walk in here expecting Let's Go Johto, so it's okay. I'm kind of wondering where the black and white remakes are, or if we're ever going to get those. I mean, there were never any promises we were going to. It was just a community thing, but like, it would be great if we did. I think my actual genuine, so when we were talking through how the show was going to go, everybody was asking me, okay, what do you think we're going to see at Pokemon Presents? And what I said was, we're probably going to open with some sort of like middle of the road kind of like spin-off game, like a mystery dungeon or a Pokemon Snap size and style of game. We're going to get a bunch of mobile game updates, and then we're going to have the big, okay, here's what their next big Pokemon game is. And I was almost right, except we didn't have that first thing. We didn't have some sort of like Pokken tournament, like spin-off kind of thing in the opening. And as a result, the coming year actually feels kind of empty of Pokemon. Like we don't have a big spin-off. We don't have a big Pokemon game coming till next year. We have all these mobile updates. And that's fine. Like most big series don't just churn things out every single year at the cadence that the Pokemon Company tends to. But given their history, it's a little weird that this is a slower year for Pokemon. And so I don't know that I'm disappointed per se, but it's interesting. It's notable. I hope this means they're hunkering down and focusing on getting their crap together, because Scarlet and Violet were kind of disappointing.
All right, fair enough. Joshua, how are you feeling? Were your expectations met?
I thought I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect a new game, like a new Legends game of all things. So I am excited to find out more about that. I thought Legends Arceus was a really good concept, but much like Scarlet and Violet, I thought it was lacking in execution in a lot of ways. So I hope that they've taken some lessons there and are improving. I'm actually fine with them taking a little bit of a break this year, although there's still tons of other Pokemon stuff coming out. Not big releases, but you know, the Pokemon machine goes on. Yeah, the quality of the past couple major releases has not been there, so I hope they're taking this time to make sure the next releases do get there and exceed expectations in terms of quality. I was kind of hoping a little bit for, you know, remakes of Black and White, because honestly, I think that's the last great Pokemon game, like that generation, Gen 5. It's so good, and I was interested to see what they might be doing with the remake, but also felt a little too soon for that, so I didn't have, you know, big expectations to see that again. And yeah, I was not expecting a new Pokemon trading card game app, and like I said before, I do think it's cool, and I'm interested to explore it and go into the card art and stuff like that. But I feel like I have to wonder, like, is that coming at the expense of the actual app where you can play the full game, which is completely just like under developed and is missing tons of features and feels really clunky to play. And it just feels like, well, cool for collecting, but can we improve the playing experience?
Yeah. If Kat Bailey were here, she would remind us that Pokemon is turning into more of a lifestyle brand than a video game brand, and I think she's right.
Oh, I don't think it's turning.
It is. It already
is.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Correct. But all right, Miranda, how are you feeling? Were your expectations met?
I'm pretty sleepy, and we're getting legendaries in Pokemon Sleep, so I'm actually really happy about that. I know I keep coming back to this, but that was my main expectation, was I wanted some cool little thing for Pokemon Sleep, and I knew we were going to get mobile updates. That like happens every year. And so it's cool to see them continuing to support that, because it is such a weird like game, like as Reb just said, like, and that has Kat has alluded to. Pokemon is sort of like a lifestyle company. It kind of always has been, honestly. Like, I think for a very long time, they've tried to like, hey, do you want this plate? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Yeah. But I think I came in with really low expectations, because as other folks have mentioned, it does feel like a little bit of a down year, and especially kind of gauging where the Nintendo Switch is in its life cycle. I think it's a good time for them to sort of take a beat. I could see us getting, well, I guess I was surprised that we're getting Pokemon Legends next as the next spinoff, but I could see that being maybe an early-ish next year release as sort of like this is our capstone on the Nintendo Switch. Like it's our final major Pokemon release on the Nintendo Switch as it is. And then us moving on to the next thing. And in a way too, I think also with us getting a brand new Pokemon anime series with new leads, like Ash has had his journey. Ash and Pikachu are off on the sunset doing their own thing. This does really feel like a weird like reset for Pokemon.
Yeah, a little bit.
And getting that beat to just say like, all right, we're going to continue on with what we have. This new show is a big focus for us. And we're going to work on continuing to develop, as we said, like the bigger lifestyle part. Next year is like when we go full force, maybe with different announcements or other things. And as Reb has said too, it's like really nice for them to have a bit of a break just because, and Josh has also said this, like the quality of Scarlet and Violet wasn't really what we were looking for. I think from mainline Pokemon games and even Pokemon Legends Arceus, like I think it was really cool, but it was an ugly game. So
yeah,
I think it's just time. It's just time for us to get that Pokemon reset, get everybody a little bit of a break, and then keep on going with what's to come.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think a Pokemon reset is good. Reb,
I don't mean to divert us, but Nintendo of America just dropped a tweet for the trailer for Pokemon Legends ZA, and their phrasing is, watch to see the reveal trailer for Pokemon Legends ZA, a new adventure set entirely within Lumio's city.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know how to unpack that further, but that's an interesting piece of information.
Well, that's more information than they gave us in the trailer.
So,
yeah. I mean, as my feelings are, it's not a huge Pokemon enjoyer, but I do enjoy Pokemon. I have played several of the games, but only one have I ever finished, and that was Blue. But it was fine. It was probably like a 7 out of 10. What, Joshua?
No, are you referring to the Pokemon Presents being a 7
The
out of 10 or
Presents.
Blue?
The Presents.
I think Joshua was reacting to the possibility
the
of you
Pokemon
ranking
Presents.
Pokemon Blue a 7 out of 10.
No, Pokemon Blue was the first one I had was Yellow. I never beat it because I got stuck in whatever in a save loop. But played it on the Wii U Virtual Console. But my biggest surprise and my biggest sort of disappointment was you still can't play the original Game Boy Pokemon or Game Boy Advance games on your Nintendo Switch. Like I kind of was just expecting they were gonna say now you can play.
Put them on Virtual Console, yeah.
Yeah, like
Not Virtual
Yellow,
Console,
Blue, and Red on Nintendo Switch
Online, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know why we can't do that because you have to play them either on your 3DS or your Wii U, which nobody's doing, or like break out the original one, which is
Aren't they on the Virtual Console?
Sorry, they're on the Virtual Console.
They're on Virtual Console, but they're not on
3DS
Nintendo Switch online.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, right.
If I had to guess, they're not putting Red, Blue, and Yellow on there because they have Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee, and they want to keep selling copies of that.
I mean, sure, but they also want to sell the Nintendo Switch Online service, which costs them very little and costs you $20 a year. So, I don't know. It was a fine presents. The Legends at the end was definitely a surprise. I don't think anybody really fully expected that, and I think no one's expectations were fully met with this presents, especially just going off of what. Well, okay, with the exception of Miranda, which shout out. I
had
that.
To be clear, I had the lowest. Just just after like the pacing of everything that's been released, I was like, this is gonna be a quiet year. I love Pokemon Day, I honestly do, but also I was like, this is one I could have slept in a little bit for and watched later and been happy with it.
Yeah, Miranda's gonna Pokemon sleep well tonight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Get those
Seth,
extra
what would get you to play like a new Pokemon game? Like what would they have had to show today for you to be like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that and play Pokemon again?
You know what? Hearing what you said about the game is going to take completely within Lumio City, and then the trailer did have like urban redevelopment plan, right? And it seemed like you're going to be building and designing your own like Pokemon City. That there are games like that, like City Builder. If that's what this is, like you're not just like going around battling, but you're actually like building out the city. That actually sounds really cool, right? There's a ton of games that have done that, but Pokemon hasn't really done that, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think they have. No.
That would be pretty
There was
awesome. Go ahead.
No, they
Are
haven't
you
done that.
thinking?
No, I was trying to remember like this one mechanic in Black 2 and White 2, but it wasn't that. So
I feel like this is like Sim City, but it's like Pokemon City.
Yeah,
That sounds
'cause
cool.
I'd be
Yeah.
into that.
You've basically only been able to decorate like rooms and very
Yeah.
small scope things.
Secret
but yeah,
bases.
that would be really neat. Yeah, secret bases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what, like,
secret cities. What if you could design your own like series of Pokemon gyms or something like that? You get to choose the types and stuff. I don't know. I'm really going off in another direction here, but it does seem like that, right? I can think of like in Assassin's Creed, right? There's like a city that you would develop
Yeah.
over time and add
Yeah.
new features and stuff. That's the first one that comes to mind. But there are a lot of games like that. If that's what this is, that would be cool.
Don't say anything you want them to do because then you guarantee they will not do it.
But it,
Seth, what would get you to play a Pokemon game? Again,
well,
Seth?
city building now. Like I would
Yeah.
definitely like, super want that. I've played all of the Pokemons that have come out since whenever the 3DS.
What would get you to
I
finish one?
I just never finished. I never finished.
That's true.
I've started finishing games now that I have been properly diagnosed with ADHD.
How's Tears of the Kingdom going?
I haven't beaten Tears of the Kingdom because I don't want that game to end.
Exactly.
It's different than me just like seeing something shiny float by my window and going and chasing it into the woods. I don't know. You know what would make me finish is just like sitting down and saying I'm going to finish this Pokemon game. Maybe I'll try Scarlet and Violet because I have them both. No.
There are some good Pokemon in there though, and some characters are really nice.
The time I had with it, I
Listen,
enjoyed.
Palmon's fantastic. Don't be
I'll tell you.
Fine.
I think one of the problems that I have with getting hooked by a game like
Yeah.
My shiny Palmy.
Cute.
Like, come on, guys. Like,
Yeah,
there's
it's
some
pretty
there's some redeemable things. It's not.
I gave it a 7. I liked a lot of parts of it.
it just had a lot of.
No, I gave it a
issues.
6. I gave Arceus
Yeah, you gave-
7. Sorry.
wouldn't.
I can't keep track anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't point people toward it though. I'd be like,
I still
is
like
this the one
some
you
parts
have
of
to
it.
play? No,
It's fun. It's fine. I think for me, having been a grown adult when Pokemon hit, and I did when I was in the Air Force and I was in Germany, the only thing we had on TV because we had like one station, the Armed Services Network. After I got home from work, was the Pokemon animated series, and I would just sit there and watch it because there's like nothing else on. And then I played Pokemon Yellow on my Game Boy on like deployments and stuff, but I don't have that sort of nostalgia. I think that had I been younger and it hit me, that would make a 3D Pokemon as impactful as seeing all these games that I've only known in pixel art, which I love. I love Pokemon.
Yeah.
I love the chiptunes, but seeing them brought into the 3D world doesn't quite feel like it has that same impact for me, and therefore I don't have that same level of disappointment that it is a little janky and nasty. So you know what? I'm gonna go back and try to finish one of those two games. There
Honestly,
it is.
if you ask me, I think when Pokemon went 3D in X and Y, I think that's where the main series kind of started taking a nosedive. So really, you got out at a great time.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that I'd say nosedive because I do like a lot of things about some of the games since that. Like I really enjoyed Sun and Moon.
Yeah, I was about to say I really
like
like Sun and Moon. Like those are the last ones I think I really loved.
But I do think I agree with the sentiment that Pokemon hasn't quite been the same since then, and I think Game Freak are very, very much masters of the pixel art and kind of the old style like top down RPG
Oh, yeah.
situation. And I think a lot of those monster designs are not as cool when you make them into 3D models. Like they were not originally envisioned as smooth, shiny 3D models.
Yeah, it's
Some
like
of them.
the episode of The Simpsons where Homer goes 3D. It just looked weird.
This looks a little weird. Yeah. But some of the newer ones, because they're designing Pokemon with that intention now, are we're doing
Which
okay.
is fair enough. And then
We're figuring it out.
in like X and Y, you have the little training mini game, I guess, and those little guys are, and I love that because they like bounce around and stuff. Maybe I'll just, I have my 3DS. I found all my carts. Maybe I'll go back and I'll finish X.
Yeah.
Do that and see where that leads.
You get roller skates in that game.
Yeah, that's.
I hope we get roller skates again.
That's okay. So let me ask real quick then. Joshua, what do you think Pokemon needs to do to get it back to where it was for you?
So the reason I said that 6 is where it all started going downhill for me, and I think 5 is the last Gen 5 is the last great Pokemon game. Oh my god, is that a Ditto? How long has that been there? What was I saying? Oh, I think 5, it was the last game that felt like challenging, right? There was like a grind there. But starting with X and Y, they made the games like so easy and like too narrative driven, where it would take over the game for you, is letting these scenes play out and showing you exactly where to go. It just feels like the game lost what made it interesting. And I haven't lost a Pokemon battle since X and Y. And I'm not saying that because I'm great at Pokemon battling on the video game side. I'm definitely not. But it's just, if they've made it accessible and easy for everyone. Unfortunately, sales for the games since then have gone up. Gen 5 was, I think it's the lowest selling generation. So they probably will never go back to games the way they used to be, because they've just gotten more and more popular and more successful and sold more units. The more they've made it them 3D and accessible, aka like easier. So I do feel like if they made a more like kind of like hardcore game, or at least gave us a difficulty setting, that would be amazing. Like, can I at least get some gym leaders that cover their weakness again? That would be great.
I kind of disagree with that perspective. Like, I do think I know there's been discussion about the way EXP share affects the game and various other things, but I do think more recent games are easier to play through the base story than, say, Red and Blue. Like, you go back and fight that Elite Four and you're like, oh god. But I mean, that's just because the audience has expanded for Pokemon, right? And I think that's okay. What I love about Pokemon is that it does have more challenging aspects for people who want them. Apart from the fact that the raids don't really work in Scarlet and Violet, when the raids do work, they can be really challenging and fun. And some of the later game battles can be very challenging and fun. And some of the legendary battles can be too, especially if you're just playing through for the first time and you're not rolling through with like this team of level 100s that you've EV trained all the heck. And you have the competitive battle scene as well on top of that. So if you're really into the mechanics of Pokemon, like, they remain complex and interesting, and you're able to take on these difficult challenges against other people through PvP. And so I like that they've combined those two aspects. They have the easier story mode for people who just want to catch their Pokemon and have a good time. But then if you want to seek out greater challenges, you can. And I think that's one of the really wonderful things they've done with the series. If I could have anything apart from games that just function on a basic level, I would like to see them go back to the sort of sense of adventure that they had in some of the older games. I felt like there were secrets behind every corner. I felt like after I beat the game, there were new areas that were unlocked to explore and new interesting things popping up. And I think some of that is just hurt by the transition to 3D. But in Scarlet and Violet, it very much felt like I was just running through these empty grassy fields, and I would walk around a corner and be like, oh, it looks like there's something cool over here. And it was just a Pokeball. It was nothing. It was not exciting. And so I would like to return to that sense if it's possible.
So you want to feel that same sense of wonder that you felt.
Yeah, maybe
we're all
that's
chasing that.
asking too much. Yeah. I think it was easier in like it was easier when you were looking at this sort of 2D pixelated world, right? Because you had this really beautiful small scale rendition of what this was, and then in my imagination it was much bigger. But now they've actually made it bigger. Like in the game, it is so much bigger, and it turns out that it's probably very challenging to fulfill that fantasy.
Well,
when
I
you're actually
mean,
making it.
probably maybe one of my favorite things about Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom is how successfully it adapted that 2D world that I loved as a little kid into a fully realized 3D world. I don't think
that's true.
Pokemon has been able to do that yet. But to their credit, we're talking about freaking Nintendo and Zelda. Like, obviously, like, nobody's.
I don't know. Pokemon's got they've got budget. Like they can.
I mean, yeah, sure, they've got the budget, but like,
if they chose to take their time and really, I believe they can do it. I believe it is possible. I just think that the money machine is cranking.
Yeah.
But Zelda was extremely successful for the Nintendo, that Nintendo company.
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon already has tried to make like their version of Zelda with Legends Arceus, right? That's essentially Pokemon by way of Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they kind of have done that, but actually, you saying that, Seth, made me think: what if they did make a Pokemon game that was as good as Zelda? What if they weren't on seemingly a very rigid release schedule where they just churn out these games and they're not as good as they could be? What if we got a truly amazing Pokemon game? And I hate to bring up Pal World, but a lot of people have really taken to that game because it's done so many things and innovative and used the creatures in a way that Pokemon never has, in ways that they really want to. And I'm not just talking about shooting them with guns. And so I think Pokemon does have to take a good hard look at that and think, well, what can we do to innovate and make our games better? Because for me, at least, if they feel trapped in the past and I want a modern Pokemon masterpiece, give it to me.
Yeah, 100%. Miranda, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I have been thinking about this a lot as far as like difficulty and what sort of experiences you actually get from a mainline Pokemon game. And I think I side a little bit more with Rep on the difficulty. Like, I think there are challenges, and I think it'd be nice to see more of those as an option.
Sure.
And it's weird because like really what I want from Pokemon games is like more, which is weird to say, but like I want more experiences with my Pokemon. Like I want to actually be able to play with them again in a meaningful way. Like Scarlet and Violet was like a really bad attempt at that with their little picnic system, and it felt like such a step back from all the things they've done in different games to give you opportunities to have time with your Pokemon aside from battling. And that's, I think, something I've looked for a lot. And I think as far as like the difficulty goes, I like that it's not too grindy or too challenging in some points, because I get to play with a team that I formed that may not necessarily be the best competitively, but they're like, they're my pals. Like I genuinely love my Pokemon. Like they are, like I catch the same Pokemon every time if I can. I'll like trade them in if I have to. Like they are my team, and like I want to go on this adventure with them every time if I can, with some new friends. But at the same time, like
Cat in the frame, by the way, if you're watching the video.
That's my my real life Pokemon.
That's your real life
Ari.
Well, I think I'm gonna split the difference. I think personally, I would love, like more Pokemon activities, but like Joshua, like you're saying, maybe expand on that that whole mechanic. You know, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, they did things that Zelda games had never done before. Like the building mechanic in The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom is the most like memed and shared and most probably talked about mechanic in that whole game, and it's basically entirely new. So, is the answer Pokemon with guns? Well, Pal World maybe thinks so, but something a little bit different that keeps that core feeling of collecting and evolving and making friends with these, and then make the world bigger, make the world more expansive, make the world more immersive. I think that would be a bajillion-dollar property. But again, like you're saying, Joshua, that they have to have these come out every year, and that makes them a little rushed. Whereas Tears of the Kingdom, they had a video come out specifically to say, sorry, it's not where we want it to be yet. We're going to take another year, and look what we got, the best game of all time. But I have some bad news. That is all the time we have left for this week's Nintendo
Great
Voice.
transition.
Thank you. Before we go, I have a few favors to ask. This is also the slowest I've ever read this. If you're watching us on YouTube, please just leave us a like and a nice comment. If you're listening to us on a podcast app, please leave us a review. It helps us spread the good NVC word, and we will be forever in your debt. Reb, Joshua, Miranda, I want to thank you all, the Elite Three, for waking up so damn early. I'm going to let you all go and get some more coffee. I'm going to go back to bed because I'm sick. But remember, NVC is the only place where you can
get the thing.
Get the thing.
Get
thing.
You got to get. I'm going to get a coffee.
Please take care of yourself.